What is wrong with you?
Why, nothing, you silly goose.
And now for something completely different.
Did you just call Panthro a silly goose?
What I do is, I look a woman up and down and I say,
I'm coming to join you! Bitch!
Oh, is that too far?
Oh, you want to get into things?
Well, I mean...
No. Let's get into things. Let's get real. Everybody, Bojack wants to get real. Cancel the bubble round, because we're getting real.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of literally the best podcast that some people have listened to, especially friends of the Scene Snobs. And if you don't know, this is No Time to Binge. And it's a show where we figure out if we should find time to binge certain shows, most of which the answer is no. We do too much stuff to actually watch TV. We're too busy making stuff for you to watch, so why would we watch more stuff? But we do pick shows and try to figure out, is this really worth any time at all? With me, we have Mr. Possimo, which is Possimo. That's the nunchuck fan, right?
Yeah, it's a robot from South Park.
Oh, perfect. Okay, we also have Miss B. Tara. How are you, B?
I'm good. I'm ready to talk about my favorite show ever.
Excellent. And then we also have Mick Colby, which made my mouth do weirder stuff than I thought. So that's cool. All right. How is everybody today?
Wanted to see something beautiful coming out of that beautiful mouth of yours.
Mick Colby. Here we go. Okay. So 2011 is when they put out this weird thing saying, you know what? The 80s cartoons were pretty good. They probably should be worse. Let's see what we can do about this. So they put out, 26 episodes in 2011 of the new, reformed and cleaned up act of the Thundercats. Now, obviously we have some questions, but let's get into what we thought episode 1 was about. So Mick Colby.
Oh boy.
Episode 1. Tell me what happens.
I got to tell you, I watched this show 2 days ago, and I was trying to think about it today, and I could remember very little about this very generic cartoon. I know that Lion-O and Tigra are brothers, and they ran up a statue, and then one of them got knocked off.
Yeah,
that's all I remember.
Okay, let me correct you real quick. They're actually Tigra was actually adopted, so
okay,
and that's why he cannot be king. That's why Lion-O has to be king, even though Lion-O's younger,
which is stupid, but whatever.
Now, B, how did you feel about Lion-O pulling off the Aladdin thing in the very beginning, where he's like, "Look, I'm too privileged. I need to figure out how poor people live."
Honestly, I think it was genius. I definitely identify with that quite a bit. I too am basically royalty. Queen B, right here.
That's true. Yeah.
So sometimes I just want to go out there and slum it. Sometimes you gotta get away from posh royal life. I understand. I get where he's coming from.
Us privileged, we need to get down there every once in a while and get our gold sandals dirty.
Yeah, no. I'm basically doing them a favor.
Now, Possimo, when you found out that Panthro was murdered apparently in episode 1 off screen, how'd you feel about this, knowing he was one of your favorites?
Sad, but also I wasn't sure why I was sad because I couldn't remember who Panthro was.
He's the nunchuck guy, the older dude.
The gray one.
The one tusk?
No. He's the gray one.
He's the
in
gray
the
one.
last episode.
He's in the last episode.
Yeah, okay.
He's not in the first episode. He's dead.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Now,
yes, confused, clearly.
Mick Colby. When you found out that Snarf was just a bunch of colors and not actual character in this, how did you feel about that?
That's the one thing that I thought was an upgrade, was that Snarf was not chip-chapping all over the place, with his annoying voice. He was just like a pet, and I loved that.
Yeah. Now, a couple of things that we didn't talk about in episode 1 was the fact that Lionel does not like lizards to be chained up. He thinks that because they're an animal, they deserve to be free unless they've done something wrong. How do you feel about that, Possimo?
Yeah, sure, whatever. I mean,
you're pro lizard or anti lizard?
I am. Is there like what's the prefix for in between? Semi lizard.
Neutral lizard.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Neutral lizard.
I'm neutral lizard. Yeah, that's going to be my name for the next episode.
It's a sweetener and a state of mind.
Oh, thank you, Blue Shoe Nick. I am amber lizard.
Amber lizard. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's a weather condition. No.
Yeah.
Like it's not very monarchist of Lionel to be like they should only be chained up if they've done something wrong. Because if I know monarchs, they like to chain people up for no reason other than they can. So
yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. The fact that there weren't just lizard heads on pikes in front of the castle was, telling you that this was not going to be a super realistic cartoon.
Honestly, I think Lionel just believes in consent. She get the lizard's consent before you chain them up.
That's fair. I mean, look, we're not kink shaming, and neither is Lionel. Like he's
not kink shaming. He just wants to make sure everyone is consenting to the situation.
Okay.
So now in episode 1, we met all the crew except for Kit and Cat, which is like people's favorites of all the Thundercats. Now Tigress, who's the one that gets invisible?
That's Tigress.
That's
Tigra.
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 And then who's the one and then there's Cheetah, right? Chitara. That's Cheetah woman. So Kristen Wiig, now when she's in here, she's super fast on stick. So pretty much her character just comes in and saves Lionel, even though she doesn't know who that person is yet. And that's interesting.
I just want to make it clear before we go any further. I was not horny for Chitara. Not at all. Not even a little bit was I horny for Chitara in this cartoon. Just I wanted to get that out of the way so that nobody made any assumptions that I was super horny for Chitara.
Do cats normally have horns? Is that supposed to be weird?
Man. We need to do more shows, Dylan. You're really slipping.
I'm rusty. It's been a minute.
So now that we have roughly our team, we know that Panthro's dead. Wily, Kit, and Cat are not in it. Snarf is a just cat, I guess. Lionel is a punk teenager. Tigra is an older person. And that's pretty much it. And lizards are bad. That's all we really get here. Now we're going to go ahead and jump over to episode.
In episode 1, Wily, Kit, and Cat do show up because I just rewatched this today. Yes, they do. They do show up. They pickpocket, and then they go.
Oh, they're the
in their little hideout.
Right. They eat meat and then they burp.
Get it right.
No, you're right. They eat some meat and a piece of bread, and then they burp and laugh for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, it was the best part of the episode.
Our favorite characters.
It was a solid burp. Okay, episode 26, which is called "What Lies Above" Part 2. Possimo, give it to me. What happens in this episode?
Everybody's on a flying city run by birds. The birds are bad and then good and then bad and then good, and I think they end being bad. Lionel has a bunch of fancy rocks that give him a fancy glove, and he's fighting an old man who turns into a big old man. Lady Cat, Jaguara, they're all named something like cat.
Yes.
At the end.
Yeah.
Chitara?
Oh, the other one.
No, the other one.
Oh, yeah, the one with the P.
Bobcat.
Pumara.
Bobcat.
Bobcat Goldthwait.
She turns out to be a bad person because Lionel left her to die. So she's like, all right, Skeletor or whoever, Mum-Ra, the other undead themed bad guy in this era. Let's chill. I'm gonna hang off your legs seductively. And then they fight, and Lionel loses, and then he doesn't. And Skeletor, Mum-Ra rather. That's a legitimate slip up. Mumra wins, and then he loses, and then he runs away.
Yep.
And then the city crashes, and they're like, "Hey, check it out, we're all friends, bye." And then the show gets canceled.
Yeah, I think the only thing you missed was Wile E. Kit and Kat coming in and saying on your left.
Yes. Obviously the inspiration for Avengers Endgame.
Yep, because it obviously came out way before.
Wile E. Kit and Kat were on some sweet ass hoverboards, though.
Oh yeah,
those would have definitely gone across the water.
Yeah. Now they went out, and I guess what they did was they went to every single person that Lino has helped throughout the entire season and said, "Listen, Lino's a bitch. He needs your help. Please come help us. Fish person, dog person, wolf person, toad person,
robot
salamander person,
robot panda,
robot panda people."
There are a lot of similarities between this and Avengers Endgame.
I know, right?
I think we might have uncovered something.
I think I did. It's one of my new theories I'm working on. Okay, so yeah, Dylan was right. We start out in this floating city that's ran by these skexy birds, these thin, I guess, humanoid birds, which is gross. Now, Mick Cat Cold Meow.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the season, obviously, we get up to this floating place. Now, how did the birds catch Lino?
Well, I mean, they didn't. They tricked him up there. They didn't catch him. They baited him. They said that they were going to marry him off to their prince, and so he just took the steps up to the floating city. There was no capture. I don't know what show you watched.
He walked up the steps to
the steps to the floating city, and the capture happened once he was up there. The birds didn't want to sully themselves with touching the ground that the cat people or the robot pandas or the fish people walked on.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Now, Bitara, we had Wile E. Kit and Kat going through all the universes, finding all the different cat people to help. Now, as we know, there were 4 to 5 groups of people that just said no, and we didn't see them ever again. Of those 4 to 5 groups of people, who was your favorite?
Okay, so I think my favorite ones were, they were definitely the snake people. Mostly because like Wile E. Kit and Kat came up and they were like, "We really need your help," and they're like, gosh darn, like we would really love to help you, but we literally don't have arms or legs, and there's not much we can do. And I loved that. It was a nice little it was a nice bit of humor. And then Wile E. Kit and Kat ate one of them just to assert their dominance, and I really appreciated that. Yeah.
And
it was really think actually quite graphic, shockingly.
Yeah,
we were laughing the entire time.
Yeah,
and burping.
And burping.
There's so much burping.
Yes.
That was interesting because I think that the snake people were going to probably help at the end until they ate their princess, and that was pretty bad.
And she was screaming and hissing the whole time.
Just the loudest.
Yeah, they ate her from the tail up. It took so long for her to die.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like a snake will like eat you whole, but like Wile E. Kit and Kat just like little bits at a time.
Played with her for a little bit first.
The cat just played with her for a little bit.
And they knew where they knew where those organs were that were gonna keep her alive. They wanted to keep her alive for as long as they could.
Oh yeah.
They specifically ate around those organs, which is I didn't think that was even possible. Now, Mick Cat Cold Meow, what was your favorite group of people to say hell no?
Well, I'm glad. I was expecting B to say what I was saying. I'm glad that they allowed me to say this, but it was the Joestars. And they, it was the ones that were in the 1950s in New York. And they came down and they said, "Can you help us?" And Jose Joestar was just like, "I'm not helping you, weird cat people. I have my own problems that I have to take care of. I you can see that I have this stone mask man who's trying to kill me. Like there was a big battle happening right then and there. And, they're like, look, we have our own problems. You cat people look like you're perfectly capable. And it wasn't very long.
No.
But
no, I think it was interesting seeing a Wily Kitten Cat stand though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Now I think they also did that like not a behind the scenes thing but if you actually watch that episode of JoJo, you can kind of see that happening in the background. And I don't know if that's true. I didn't go back and check. Now Possimo, I'm just going to throw the same question to you because there was just such a wealth of characters that they really just threw away for no reason.
I mean, this one's really easy for me. It was the Harlem Globetrotters. I mean, they'll give their voice to anything, so it's cool to see them work for this group again. And why wouldn't you want like half basketball, half horse people in your Flying City attack?
Yeah, that's true. And obviously, when you put the the Thundercats up next to humans, it turns out that they are just cat size the whole time. So it was interesting to see that they're all very tiny. Yeah, and this is just a tiny little war.
Yeah, and it was also weird to see, next to the Harlem Globetrotter centaurs, they're like towering over them, and it's like, of course. But the Globetrotters were just like, we play basketball. Like, what are you even talking about? Why would you want us to fight? And they're like,
something
you're
I can
huge.
dunk them in.
Yeah.
But they're just like, bunk, 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 bunk with the basketball, and we never hear from them again.
Which actually brings me to my next question. The Harlem Globetrotters came with the most amazing amount of centaur fashion that we've seen on screen. And knowing that Lionel eventually gets that glove that turns into a full sleeve, Mick Cat Cold Meow, what was your favorite bit of just cat fashion that we saw throughout this whole season?
Oh, do we? It has to be the cat fashion, or it can be any fashion from any of them?
I guess any fashion from any of them, but to me, the cats had the best fashion. But I'll take any answer.
I mean, I did enjoy the cat fashion. Obviously, I mean they're always decked out, but the fact that some of the snakes were just wearing those socks that the Red Hot Chili Peppers used to perform in, I thought was really interesting. But it looked like they didn't wash them. So it still had like stray hairs and sweat stains on them, which seemed to be because the king had sort of that feather boa made of pubes. It seemed like the more sweat stains and errant hairs that were on the socks, like the higher ranking the snake. I didn't necessarily think that they were the best looking, but I did think it was the most interesting attire.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that they put little like black duct tape X's over their nipples, well, I guess where nipples would be, it really just says, hey, these guys are thinking outside the box. B Tara, same question. Cat fashion.
Okay, all right. So, do you remember a couple years ago there were these like little jewels, and you can hang them from your cat's tail, and it would cover the butthole?
Yeah.
It was my absolute favorite thing that they included that in the show. I really enjoyed the one that Panthro wore. It was just like a big purple jewel. It was like this big because it had a giant butthole.
Yeah.
And I do it was kind of awkward, like looking at it during the show until they had the cat fashion show where that showed up. But I love that it was there the entire time, the rest of the way.
I agree. I completely agree. I like that we saw it in episode 1. It's like, wait, what's that little jewel back there? But then in episode 13, they showed us how they actually work in their little poop trap doors. The cleaning of those things is a little weird, but as far as fashion goes, yes, perfect.
Yeah, they did focus in on it a lot, though. There were a lot of from the ground up shots, just right into Panthro's butthole.
Well, he kept turning,
but the animation was beautiful.
Turning his back to the camera, so it wasn't necessarily on them.
Yeah, and I think there's actually Easter eggs in those things. I think if you actually look in those gems, it lets you know like what the next episode's going to have.
Oh my god.
Oh, is that what that was?
Oh
I've
my
spent
god.
a lot of
Okay.
time looking at these bubbles.
Theory time. Just saying. Theory time, real quick. Had the show continued, Panthro's butt jewel would have been one of the stones of power that they were looking for. That's just my theory. I don't have any evidence, but I'm just saying I'm right. So
yeah. That actually brings up a very good point. Well, actually, let's get to Possumo's cat fashion real fast, and then we'll get to the next point, which I hope I can remember.
Oh, take your time. No, it was during the Halloween episode. Everybody, there's a lot of costumes to choose from in that. But when Lion-O shows up wearing the suit of human skin, commentary and like it's kind of meta because you're like, oh, these are humanoid cat hybrid furries, whatever they are. And then he shows up like in a human suit and like the mouth is the hood, and he's like, I have a credit score, and he's doing all the bits like. Yeah, it's just fun to see a fantasy TV show not take itself too seriously and skewer modern day stuff. Yeah.
Now, being that the only human thing we saw was the upper half of the Harlem Globetrotters, where do you think they got that full suit?
A vet.
I never thought of that. That's great. Now, in the last episode, I'm sorry, Colby Meow.
Since the Thundercats were so small, since they're cat-sized, the human, I mean, they did have to, have the skin of a baby, which was not the best thing, maybe.
Not really ethically sourced. No.
I mean, we can't prove that. They don't address where it comes from on the show.
True.
Ethically sourced baby skin.
I feel like that's hard to find.
I just hope that they used all the rest of the parts of that baby.
True.
I think Kit and Kat probably ate it and then burped and laughed a lot. Now,
I wish
in
they
the
would
last
have showed that in the show, so I would know for sure.
Yeah, that's really just tough to navigate that kind of stuff, though. Now, in the last episode, we see them trying to fight for what I think is a plastic stone. I'm pretty sure they say plastic a couple times, and they want to put that stone into their arm or their sword to make it do stuff. And as we know, they spent a lot of time and finding the wrong stones throughout the entire series and putting them on different parts of their body. Possumo, what was your favorite stone that turned out to be incorrect?
It was the shiny rock that they were playing with in the second episode, and they carry it through the show, and they make a point to say, I found this cool rock in that river near where we found the other rocks of power. We found it right next to the rest of them. This one looks exactly like it, but it's not glowing. And you're like, oh, cool. They're setting this up to be an inert one. And then Mum-Ra is like, nope. Yeah. I mean, no. Yeah. He holds the stone up. Well, because when Mum-Ra initially tries to get the stone from Lion-O just folds. He's like, yeah, sure. Don't hurt my friends. Here you go. Don't worry about it. And Mum-Ra's like, this isn't what I'm looking for. And then, the Flying City happens.
Yeah, that's fair. Bitara, favorite stone to try to be false.
Okay. So, do you remember when they were like, "Oh man, we got to go look for the stones," and then Tigra shows back up and he's high as fuck, and then there was that like really funny joke about being stoned, and he's like, "Oh man, I definitely misheard that." So it's not really like a stone, but that I'm gonna say that scene right there, that whole part, great, absolutely my favorite.
Yeah, and for a show aimed at kids to have a 420 episode was so clever, really. Really meta there.
Yeah.
Mick Cat Cold Meow, favorite gem to turn out to be incorrect.
When that one episode, I think it was episode 10, they decide that they're going to go to the Goodwill, and they find that jean jacket that was bedazzled on the back with the picture of the fawns, and it just says A over top of it. And then Panthro was wearing that for a while until it got destroyed in the fight against the Centaur Globetrotters. But I don't know why they thought, because they knew the size of the stones that they were looking for. They knew that those little bedazzling gems were not the thing, but Panthro just loved that jacket so much. He was like, oh, I remember Happy Days. I love this character. The Fonz was my favorite. So Yeah, I think it was for the sentimentality, because Panthro doesn't show very much emotion throughout the show, but the single tear comes down when he sees that jean jacket. And I thought it was very powerful.
Well, it was Henry Winkler voicing Lion-O that episode. It was like a special guest spot. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he did just such a perfect. I didn't even notice, because he did such a spot on impression of the guy who does Lion-O. It was like, what's even the point? But that's pretty cool that he did that.
Yeah. So Dylan, you must be looking at my notes, because that was my next question. And my next question was, as we know, Henry Winkler did a special guest voice as Lion-O. Throughout the season, it is Eric from Boy Meets World, which is pretty interesting. But throughout the season, we did have a lot of celebrity guest stars, especially celebrities from 2011. Cat Colby Meow, what was your favorite 2011 celebrity to show up and do a voice?
Since B let me have Jose Joestar, I'm going to tell you my second favorite, because really we're not going to get into it. But I was a big fan of the fact that Kurtwood Smith came in and did the father of Panthro, who's already old to begin with. So the fact that his father was already there, and Kurtwood Smith is there talking about how Panthro is useless. His friends are always in the basement getting high. He's going to put his foot up their ass and all the, all that normal stuff, and that show had been over for what? Several years, 7 or 8 years by the time that came out. But people still loved that 70s show reference. I mean, you don't get much more iconic than Red Foreman. So just the fact that he was on a cartoon voicing, a father was very cool.
I agree. Now, Tara, because Colby passed his favorite to you.
Thank you.
Give it to us. Who?
All right. You know what I'm going to say. You know exactly who I'm going to say. Jack Black, when he showed up as Wile E. Cat's long lost sister, Wile Gato, absolutely beautiful. Loved it. He did such a good job. I didn't know he could do such a beautiful feminine voice either. And she was like a femme fatale character, and I'm just
yeah. The songs.
Enough said.
Yeah.
His again, his singing voice, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Flawless.
Now, yeah. And I knew that was going to be your answer because of your Jack Black Instagram. You're posting a lot of pictures of that character this whole week. So it's like, oh boy.
Absolutely. Again, follow my Instagram, Blackjacks for Jack Black. There's a little period between them. Yeah.
Yep. Love that. Possimo, I'm going to give you the same question. Favorite voice actor?
I mean, it was the cameo from Hinder doing their 5-year anniversary tour of Lips of an Angel. In when they go to the bar, and it's like that calm between the end of Act 2, you have the darkest, the lowest point, and they're in the bar and they're all drinking, and they're like, what do we do now? And in the background, they don't do anything except a brief pan. It's Hinder doing Lips of an Angel. And I was like, I had no idea this show had such a musical pedigree. I know it's Cats, but yeah.
Yeah, I did like that.
I liked how that episode was that performance, and then the rest of the episode was just afterwards, after everyone had left the bar, and the rest of the episode was just the janitor just sweeping up the floor for 20 minutes. It's
a technique.
It was very powerful.
I think they call that decompression. It lets you really process what happened by showing the mundane stuff around the weirdness.
Yeah, which is it's interesting because as much as we do love Hinder, and some nobodies as well as everyone in this cast are huge Hinder fans.
Oh, absolutely.
Now they call fans hindrances.
Oh gosh. Okay, so Now, as we know, Thundercats, they kind of set up this weird thing where they would do like one episode that was storyline and then 2 fillers, and then one episode that was storyline and then 2 fillers. And the fillers, they were really trying some weird stuff. Now, the Hinder bar closing episode was one of the filler ones, but you could tell where they were going with that. Other than the bartender being annoyed that the cats would not leave the bar episode, what was your favorite filler episode? The one that just did not mean anything, but just had like a special little arc to it. B-Tara, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so my absolute favorite was when they recreated the sensational musical Cats, just scene by scene with the entire cast. Unfortunately, a lot of the voice actors weren't singers, but I think they definitely managed to make it work. Yeah. I definitely think having Mumra show up as McCavity was just absolutely on point. The costuming was beautiful. Of course, they did unfortunately, apparently, like in the universe, it showed the costume department actually skinning a few of the cat people to make the costumes, but you do anything for art, and I can absolutely get behind that.
I think they only skinned the Jellicle cats, from what I understand, but I can't be sure about that.
Yes.
The only thing I didn't like about that episode was the fact that they went in a couple weeks later and took out all of the buttholes.
That was a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't even use the jewels that were from the show. They just
wasted opportunity. Opportunity, because you get some like stage lights on those and they just glow.
Yeah. Oof. But they just like digitally put in duct tape X's.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possimo, same question. Filler episode.
It's interesting because when I initially started it, when they're doing the jailbreak, I didn't think it was going to be filler. I was like, cool, Lion-O got imprisoned by Mumra's forces. They break in with their heist and they get him out. It turned into the filler episode when it took them half an hour for him to decide if he wanted to go outside or not. And it's just like, they're sitting there like, come on, in or out? You're letting all the air out. Come on. And Lion-O's just like looking back and forth. Doesn't quite know. And of course he decides to go out finally at the end, but I mean, in an entire episode he could have done stuff. So
yeah, fair. Just waiting to see if you're going outside. Yeah. Kind of interesting, I guess, but yeah.
I mean, if you own a cat, you know how it is.
Yeah, true. They don't want to do anything.
No.
Colby Meow, how about you?
I think it was just conceptually the one where I think it was just laziness that brought them to this episode. But it was the one where instead of animating anything, they just had the producer's kid with the action figures, and they were just doing the battle. So they're just like smashing they're just smashing the Mumra into the Lion-O and but the dumb thing about that episode was they took what happened while this little child was playing with the toys, and they made it canon for the rest of the show. So like when Wile E. lost one of their arms while the kid was smashing him into, I think, Chitara, they just kept the arm off for the rest of the show with the animation. Which was fine, but like for a filler episode, I think they put way too much stake into it.
I agree, but I mean, they definitely care about continuity, and that's impressive on a cartoon. Now, as we know, the show got canceled after 26 episodes. It was originally scheduled to be 52 episodes. They were going to do this a year-round show, and it got canceled after episode 26. And there was a lot of speculation of why the show was canceled. Now, I did ask all the panelists to do a little bit of homework and tell me why they think this show got canceled or what they think the truth was. Now, for me, it was really the skinning episode. PETA really got in there and started making a lot of Twitter assumptions about how the producers were misusing cats to get new storylines. I'm not sure if that was true or not, but that's To me, that seems the most legitimate. Like, obviously, you have these people that are letting their kids play with toys and smashing toys around. Now, if you're smashing actual cats around to get storylines, that seems a good reason to cancel a show. Now, Mick Cat Cold Meow, in your research, what did you find as far as why this show got canceled after only 26 episodes?
Well, what I found was that this was supposed to be the building block for an expanded universe of all of the 1980s cartoon reboots. So the reboot of Voltron was supposed to be part of this. The reboot of Masters of the Universe was supposed to be part of this. That She-Ra reboot was supposed to be part of this. But it seemed like they couldn't get the producers of the different series together to figure out one storyline that worked for everyone. So it seemed like, just like everything else, money and egos were just clashing too much, and it just never worked out because most of them were in, but I think it was the Centurions reboot that didn't want to be a part of it. And that Centurions reboot was a huge success and everybody loved it, but I think that was the one that sort of tipped the scales. And then after that, they just let everybody, do whatever they wanted to with their own shows, and everything turned out better than this Thundercats reboot. But it would have been interesting to see, what that expanded universe would have turned into.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with the trajectory of the MCU, it's obvious that's where they were trying to go.
Absolutely.
I would have loved to see that. Bitara, I heard that you found some pretty interesting information out.
I did. Okay, so you know how I was talking about the the little crystal butt things?
Mhm.
Like there's actually, and I mentioned before, there is actually a company that makes those. And the show, unfortunately, the showrunners were actually sued because that is a
They were using the trade. Yeah, they're using the trademarked butt gems. I did notice that.
You can't actually use those.
Yeah, I was curious why there was so many up close shots of those butthole gems and showing the name of the company on there. And it's like, oh, this must be a sponsorship thing. So that is interesting. They got sued because of that.
Was not sponsored. Turns out they just took it upon themselves to add it. Didn't ask the company, and they ended up getting sued.
Wow.
I'm not saying that's the reason why it was canceled, but I'm just saying that might have something to do with that.
You're definitely going to get sued if you talk about a product that's not actually sponsoring you as if they're a sponsor. So if you give me just 1 second, I have to change my depends.
I knew it. Possimo, tell me what you found out as far as Depends comes in multi-packs. You can find it at all Sam's Club and Costco's nationwide.
Oh boy, have we come full circle. I was going to talk about the advertising controversy.
That was my next question. Let's not get to that just yet.
Okay. Hold on. Let me do some real quick research first. Oh right, no, I found it. I had a backup in case I actually undercut your timeline for the show.
I shouldn't share you my notes with this.
Really, you really shouldn't. But it was all the controversy stemming from how, I don't know if anyone else noticed it, but we haven't brought it up yet. In every episode, there are like 3 frames they put in of like roadkill.
Oh.
It's like a single frame at 3 different points in each episode. And when you put them all together, all the animals are in letter form and they spell out "screw you, Hulu."
Oh.
And they haven't found out who's responsible yet. So instead of like doing an investigation, spending all that money and time, they just canned the entire thing. Put a lot of people out of work.
Wow, that's interesting. I heard about that, but I haven't been able to find those actual scenes.
They're working really hard to like bury the story even still. It's like 10 years later. But I think we'll probably be okay. They do listen to a lot of podcasts of the year, so they might be coming for us.
Yeah. Now, Dylan Possimo, you did mention something earlier, which was the advertising scandal, and I was about to bring that up because, as we know, the series got canceled at 26 episodes, and right around episode 17 or 18, you could tell that they were losing money because they started doing weird product placement. And the first time I saw a spray can, I was like, I wonder what they're doing with this. Now, Possimo, will you please reveal to people what you found out about the advertisement on this?
So it actually goes back further from the start of the show, but they were really subtle about it for the first 2/3, where each episode would be kind of stealth sponsored by a different product. And early on, it made sense. It was like cat food brands and kitty litter and like cat toys. Then it started getting really weird, like Silk Road advertisements and like mysterious phone numbers, and you'd call it and it would give you the option to put in your Bitcoin wallet number. Like, it started getting really weird. And I mean, when they started hemorrhaging money in the last half, that's when they started drinking Mountain Dew and stuff like that. And I thought that was a contributing factor to why the show got canceled, because apparently they didn't go through the people at Hulu to do that, and they were just pocketing the cash.
Yeah, that's kind of what I found out. McCat Cold Meow, what was your favorite random like advertising sponsorship you saw in this series?
Well, I have two for this. One real quick. I did enjoy some of the Tidy Cat stuff, just because they spent a lot of time, there's one in particular that did not make me horny, but it was when Chitara was like digging in her box for a while, and then she just sat there, took a big old pee, and then was out, and then was circling the litter box and scratching, covering everything up. It was almost an entire episode. It didn't make me horny, but the one that I thought was strange, and a little bit ahead of its time, speaking of Bitcoin, but the Board Cat NFTs, like 10 years before NFTs really blew up, they were like, it was just like a picture of Lion-O, just like sitting there with a bored look on his face. And then there was a picture of Snarf, with just a bored look on his face. They were all poorly drawn, but they were all worth thousands of dollars for some reason. I thought it was, I think if they would have done it later, that would have made them enough money to finish the series the way that they wanted to. But I think they were just a little bit too far ahead of their time. There was that 2 weeks where NFTs were worth money. If they would have done it then, they would have made a killing on it.
Yeah. It is interesting that you talked about the one episode that did not make you horny completely, because there was one day this week that none of us could get a hold of you, and you just kept responding with not now, not now. And I thought that was probably the same day. But it also brings me to my next question, which was the thing they did differently with this edition of Thundercats versus the 86 version was that they gave them time to actually be cats, and they actually animated these Thundercats doing things that regular cats would do. Such as, scratching in their litter box for upwards of 10-ish minutes. Now, Possimo, what was your favorite thing that they made these Thundercats do that actual cats do?
I mean, besides Lion-O's like prison break, it's when, what's his name? Tigra?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I can't.
Not even a fan of this show, Dylan.
I have no comment. It's when he gets climbs up the tree chasing a squirrel and he gets stuck, and they have to call the fire department. Yeah,
he just looks at people.
It's just a nice. It's a nice vulnerable moment for him. It really made you sympathize.
I agree. Bitara.
Okay. So I guess my favorite thing that they did is when they would just like be like at a bar like drinking or something, and then they'd set their glass down, and then just slowly push it up, watch it fall. And then just keep going with their conversation like nothing had happened. I thought it was really subtle and well done. And definitely cat behavior, for sure.
I agree, because they obviously can speak, so they can ask for another drink.
Yeah.
But the fact that they slowly just push their glass off, broke on the floor,
while
left the bartender know.
maintaining eye contact with the bartender. Real power move, real cat move, honestly.
Yeah. That's a way to display dominance here.
Yeah, that eye contact until the bartender gave them another drink, which they then slowly pushed off the bar.
Yeah.
I thought was just amazing.
Yeah. Mick Cat Cold Meow, I'm going to throw this out to you as well.
Okay, well, one of the things that definitely didn't make me horny was that episode where Lion-O was sleeping, and he's in his bed, and Chitara jumps up on the bed and circles around and then just puts her butt right in Lion-O's face. Just so that he wakes up, and you get that animated slowly opening up from black screen, and it's just butthole. It's one of those things that as a cat owner myself, I've woken up to several times.
And Chitara,
normally,
for some reason, didn't really wear the cat butthole gem.
For some reason,
weird character quirk.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that she didn't. Not because she made me horny, but just in general, I thought it was nice that not everybody has to cover up their buttholes.
Okay, this brings me to one of my final questions. The one thing that I'm most excited to find out about. Now, Mumra, as we know, is a very old, senile man that can sometimes turn into a 35-year-old dad bod who's super dope. But throughout the series, apparently, he can turn into a wide array of things. Now, other than the old man and the sexy fighter guy with the sword, who was your favorite iteration of Mumra? Mick Cat Cold Meow.
Well, I hate to keep going back to the well, but I liked when he turned into a centaur, and he was a very good basket. I mean, I don't know. It seemed a little bit typecasting that they made all of the centaurs amazing basketball players. Like that was the trait of the centaurs. But when Mumra turns into a centaur, man, that guy could ball. It was fantastic.
He was breaking ankles everywhere. You're right. Bitara, favorite Mumra?
I liked it when he turned into like a really, really tall, pretty lady with huge intelligence stats. Yeah, no, that was definitely my favorite. Definitely wasn't horny for that at all. Not even a little bit. No.
Yeah, and they really used that character well, because that character would just kind of strut into a room and leave, and you're like, the hell was that about? That was nice.
She didn't even say anything. Didn't have to say a word. Just strutted in, strutted out, and everyone was like, I forget what we were doing.
Yeah. The animation. The animation on those walk cycles was, it was like the rest of it was going at like 20 frames per second.
Yeah.
I think the animation on those bosoms were like 600 frames per second. I mean, it was every little movement.
It was a high frame rate.
Had a lot of personality,
intelligence. Yeah,
very high
that
intelligence modifier.
The one scene where she walks into the bar, slowly walks up to the whiteboard and solves that very complicated algebra problem.
So cool.
I thought was yeah.
It was cool because they're talking about how they're going to defeat this floating city, and all of a sudden you just hear these high heel footsteps, and you're like, it can't be, not here, right? And then they all just look, and it's like, shit, what are we talking about? And they go, who cares? And then they left. Yeah, it was so nice. Possimo, your favorite iteration of Mumra?
I mean, Mumra always likes to cause chaos. Like, he's just kind of a crazy person. So when he shows up to the Halloween party as a Christmas tree, I'm just like, all right, okay, I get it. And then Mumra, yeah, absolutely. That dude's hilarious. And you think like
definitely comic relief character.
Well, and it was that mid-season finale where you think like, oh, he's turned over a new leaf because now the Thundercats have accepted him as one of them, and they do that like they play the song from the Breakfast Club.
St. Elmo's Fire.
Yeah, that one. And like, Lion-O, and he walks in as a Christmas tree, and the party stops. Everybody looks at him, and Lion-O like looks at the person at the boombox, and they're just like, keep it going. And then he hands him a beer, and it starts playing that song, and
dude.
And then of course Mum-Ra hits Lion-O with his car in the first episode of the second half of the season, and all bets are off.
Yeah. I agree.
Not only did Mum-Ra have the dad bod, but he also had all those dad jokes.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So.
Yeah, I really thought watching him DJ was pretty interesting because they really brought this futuristic style to it, which is clearly just the 90s, but to them it was the future. So that was pretty cool to see him with those wraparounds. Now, I did ask all of you guys to bring a question to the panel to see the thing you wanted to know the most about, just in case I didn't ask it. Now, Possimo, what question would you like to ask the panel? Maybe I didn't ask it.
I had this prepared. Hold on.
Okay, Mick Cat Cold Meow. We'll just pass over to you.
Okay. Well, I wanted to make sure that I was the only one. I mean, B already let us know that they were horny for not horny for
I did not.
Mum-Ra
Yeah, that's right.
as a tall,
not at all,
intelligent lady. And I was definitely not horny for Chitara's butthole. I was just wondering if anyone was definitely not horny for any other characters or situations that happened. This was a very horny show. So I thought maybe, keeping away from being horny was going to be the harder thing to do. Excuse the pun.
Well, I was definitely not horny for old Mum-Ra either. Definitely not. Yeah, no, of course not. That would be weird.
Yeah. I'll say for me, I was definitely not horny when Pumera got crushed under the rocks, and then Dad Bod Mum-Ra came over and was like, "Come with me, hon." I was like, oh my God, pick me out of some rocks, my friend. So I'll say, I'm gonna say Dad Bod Mum-Ra also did not make me horny whatsoever.
Good.
My answer to that is, kind of similar. It's college co-ed Mum-Ra when they do the flashback to when they were all in college together, and Mum-Ra's got the super short shorts and the belly shirt. And he's got the mullet and the mustache, and you're just like, oh wow, they nailed 10 years ago, and they nailed the style for nowadays.
That's true. And then also having him be like an RA on like a
questionable decisions by administration, that's for sure.
Well, I tell you, Dylan, you're a stickler for rules, and that dude followed the rules.
Figures of authority. What can I say?
The cutoff belly shirt for college guys is definitely something that needs to come back.
Yeah. Bitara, do you have any questions for the staff that you would like to know?
Okay. So this is kind of a part 1 and part 2. Okay, just bear with me. Part 1: did this show make you more likely or less likely to become a furry?
The same.
And what is your fursona? Because I know the answer is yes. I know the answer is you all have your own personas already.
It's within the margin of error, so it wasn't an appreciable change.
Mine's a bear, for sure.
Okay.
Just a bear, yeah. I was gonna, yeah. Well, yes. As a matter of fact, this has allowed me to enter now that COVID's kind of slowing down a little bit, and groups are getting back together. Because I did binge or didn't have time to binge a show this week, I did enter myself into a couple furries, but it was the furry fish people that I had a hard time just really mastering, because I wanted to be a furry, but the fish people are scales, so I had kind of this dual problem, like, can I be a furry but also scaly?
Yes, because my scale sona is a snake. So
perfect.
I think my headphones stopped working for a second. Did you say you entered yourself into several furries?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that that's what I heard.
It was between 4 or 5. I really can't be sure. It was one convention center. I got a lot of key cards for rooms, and I really just went at it trying to understand what it's like to be a Thundercat or a fish person in the Thundercat universe. And I think that they just go at it. Bossimo, I think it's your turn for a question.
Yes. Oh shit. If you had to cross this over with another, like, obviously the expanded universe didn't happen, but if you had to cross this over with only one of the other 80s reboots, which one?
Snorks.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's underwater Thundercats. I like looking at a wet cat.
Mine would be Gem and the Holograms.
Oh yeah.
Not enough people. Yeah.
Because the gems. Yeah.
Because of the stones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Love that.
I want to see the Thundercats like on stage doing like 80s rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now would they wear
Misfits? And go like against Gem.
Now, but I heard that's what they called the butthole gems. I heard they called those misfits. Is that not true?
Yeah, no, I think you're right actually.
Oh
man. Okay, so I'll let you get I'll let you get to yours in just a sec, but I need you to just imagine this, okay? So you know how Gem has the earrings? Imagine their butthole gems as synergy instead.
Love it.
Showtime synergy.
Sure. Are the cats wearing them at the same time?
The fact that they did call them misfits did explain why there was a picture of Glenn Danzig on all of them.
Mick Cat Colby, I think it's your turn to answer this question.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have seen the Thundercats fight Voltron. I mean, I know that it's not the most exciting answer, but just to see, 5 cat-sized cats try to fight a giant robot with, made out of 5 robot cats, I think would have been kind of hilarious.
That would have been a good one. I think they have like sketch draw-ups of that, and they're like, we just can't make this work. These cats will just die.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay, so obviously this was a pretty impactful show for all of us. We really just took in these first and last episode and really just put it in there. Now, for those that did watch more episodes, before we get out of here, what was just your favorite episode? Let's just end on an easy note. I think my favorite episode, honestly, was when somehow Mumra did that thing where he was both old and young Mumra at the same time, and he was helping himself change his own Depends, which you can find at any local Walmart or 7-Eleven in your area. You can also go to somenobodies.com and just type in Depends for now, and you can
go to patreon.com/somenobodies to help Zach meet his Depends budget.
Do you want to get 33% off your pack of Depends?
You guys have been paying out $50,000 per episode of PowerPoint Showdown. So yeah, it's not paying the Depends bills like it used to.
I've been getting credit cards to pay out all of those scholarships.
We set up this $50,000 thing thinking that either Dylan or myself would win occasionally, and we are just bleeding money right now.
If you want to find out what we're talking about, go look up PowerPoint Showdown.
Yeah, we are just a money sieve right now. Michael Colby, favorite episode?
I already talked about it. It was the episode where Chitara was climbing all over Lion-O.
Okay. So just the cat episode was your favorite.
Yeah. And now that I'm thinking about it again, after this episode's over, don't try to get a hold of me.
I got 1 hour of watching the exact same episode over and over again. B. Tara, if you didn't already tell me your favorite episode, please do so.
So actually my favorite episode really was that the cats episode where they redid the play. I don't know if you guys know, I'm a bit of a musical snob, and Cats is absolutely my favorite show. So I definitely appreciated this one for sure. It was done so artistically. And I liked the gore as well, the violence on stage. It was beautiful.
Yeah, they really ramped up the violence on the musical.
They did. I don't remember. I don't remember Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer eating each other on stage. But you know, I think it was very artistically done. I appreciate it.
Agree.
And as Blue Shunnig said, it did in fact awaken something in me.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh, there goes my light.
Oh no.
Oh,
all right, Possimo. We all know that your favorite cartoon is Thundercats. And if you were a Thunder anything, what would you be?
I get the feeling that Thundercat is out. That seems to, I mean,
no, that was the easy answer.
Oh, probably like a Thunder Rock. Yeah,
I like Thunder Rocks. Yeah,
yeah. Nobody could touch me. I could just sit around and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah. McCat Cold Meow. Thunder what?
Thunder Cloud.
A thunder cloud. Full of info. I love it. Bitara, what are you a thunder of?
That's interesting. I would probably, I guess, be a thunder snake because, as I stated before, they don't have arms or legs, so nobody really expects anything from them. And that's the life I want to live. One with zero expectations for me, because it makes me nervous. Yeah.
If you are a snake and you are wearing a shirt, is it always like a high neck, like a turtleneck? No,
I mean,
I feel like it just. I have no idea.
Oh my god.
Well, Blue Shoe Nick would be a lightning lizard, which is great. All right, so before we get on to what we can, if we actually think we should have time to binge this show, what are we going to not binge next week? What do we think? Possimo, what do you think? What should we not binge next week?
Just randomly off the top of my head, not prompted by anything we might have talked about previously before the show started airing or have coordinated before. Santa Clarita Diet.
Perfect. I love it. I'm not going to ask anybody else the question. Okay, McCat Cold Meow.
Yes.
Would you find time to binge this show if you hadn't already done it?
No.
Perfect. Bitara.
I already binged it while it was coming out. So, back in 2011.
Yeah, but with 2022, Bitara binge the show.
Absolutely.
Yep, 100%.
Because I love all versions of the Thundercats, unironically.
Yeah. Possimo, will you find time to binge this show?
No. Mum-Ra's my favorite character, and I didn't like this version very much.
Yeah.
I don't like old hermit Mum-Ra.
Okay, so before we get out of here, obviously we got to figure out if this show kept going. What would you like to see in the next season? Bitara, season 2 of 2011's Thundercats. What are they going to go over?
Okay, well, I'm just saying I want Jack Black to make another appearance as Wily Gatto. We absolutely loved her, but this time I want to see her as like the main character. I want the entire cast to die and just focus entirely on this character while she takes up Lion-O's mantle and avenges her friends. That's what I want to see. Yeah.
Possimo season 2?
I'm looking forward to an after-school special about why you shouldn't declaw your cats. Don't declaw your cats.
Seriously.
But yeah,
That's
so
nasty.
it would be rough, but someone's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. McCat Cold Meow.
Well, I do like the Thundergato main character, but I would also like it if Chitara would be able to stay alive and it would focus on their romance. Not because it would make me horny, just because I think that that would just be a nice thing to do. Just not every episode has to involve, a sex scene or a cuddle scene where each other's buttholes are in each other's faces. But every third episode, maybe.
I love that. And for me, I would like to see the, into the Thunderverse, bring back the 86 crew, age them up to appropriate times, and then really give them the new cast, something to think about. Okay, so I guess that's really it. It seems like for the most part, we will not have time to binge this show, but we think you probably should. And let us know what your favorite episode is, what your favorite advertising, why you think the show got canceled, and why cat Colby Meow is having a weird love affair with everything that is cat related. Now we're going to get out of here. So let's have everyone tell people where you can hear yourselves or see yourselves do stuff. Tara.
Okay, so you can find me on my other podcast. Is this podcast a JoJo reference? And D-Floor. You can find those Spotify, wherever, anywhere. They're all over the place. I don't know. You can also follow my non-Black Jack Black Instagram, b.bethy. And you can find me on Twitter at Queen Bethy B.
Hell yeah. Cat Colby Meow.
I'm gonna say you can't see me do anything unless it's with you guys. So the Some Nobodies YouTube channel I'm gonna plug because I'm on 2 shows that are on there. But also if you're looking for something a little bit strange and audio only comedy, B was on, Dylan was on, Zach was on, Jack Billings Presents Haunted Apartment Complex. It's on the Podmoth Network, and you can check out clips of that show if you're interested on our Instagram, which is Jack Billings Presents. And you can also follow me on Twitter at my neighbor MICH1. It's a terrible Twitter handle because I didn't think we would be doing the podcast for very long. And 3 years later, I'm saddled with it.
Yeah.
Possimo, where can people hear your beautiful voice?
I don't know. You're going to have to look pretty hard for that. But you can hear my normal voice on Twitching Upstream and Talking Upstream, Tuesdays and Sundays, respectively, on the Some Nobodies YouTube channel. Silicon Angels, CYOP Appeal. No Time to Binge. Wait, no, that's us. This show. Go watch the other shows that we've done here. And then also PowerPoint Showdown, where we make fake PowerPoints and have to improvise over them.
Wait, why do I do so much preparation for those if we're just supposed to be making them up?
Well, you're trying to win, so
I never do. But
I know. Well, none of us do, really.
What do you mean you prepare?
I think B did.
Yeah, I write and prepare these entire presentations.
I know. Yeah, Dylan has his people do it, and his people are like my kid, which is weird. And he keeps telling them, like, hey, do my presentations. All right, folks, you can see me everywhere that you can find Dylan. Obviously, this is a great show, and I love it, and it is award-winning. So please watch all the old ones of this and let us know what you think. And if you think that we should not find time to binge one of your favorite shows, let us know what it is. Until next time, folks, we don't have time to binge anything. So I guess we'll just play the outro. We don't have one yet. Wait, still?
What is wrong with you?
Why, nothing, you silly goose.
And now for something completely different.
Did you just call Panthro a silly goose?
What I do is I look a woman up and down and I say,
I'm coming to join you, bitch.
Oh, you want to get into things?
Well, I mean...
No. Let's get into things. Let's get real. Everybody, BoJack wants to get real. Cancel the bubble round, because we're getting real.
Of all the flowers, you picked the day, Astrid. Each petal is said to have trapped a day of life within it. It gave me the strength to endure, to make it one more day. This is the heart of that very same flower. I've kept it all these years in memory of your kindness. Which reminds me, I never had a chance to thank you.